Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon, and joining me today here in the Xfinity Mobile studio on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line, it is our friend Steve Petey Peters of Inside the Coach's Room on YouTube. What's going on, Petey?
I will say this, Bill. Again, we're getting closer to hockey. It doesn't feel like it, but we are. And I just want to know, as Bryn, the producer, who made the thumbnail today? Like, how did you get a hold of my? Is that my high school graduation picture? Like, what the hell is that? Look at that young, good-looking kid. That's a long time ago, Bryn. Nice work.
I always whenever there's a still photo of me, I feel like it's someone's choice to find the weirdest possible face I could be making, and we put those in the thumbnails. So I like that you at least enjoy yours. We have a couple of house cleaning things to get to before we get into today's show. First of all, Flyers road trip coming up in March. We are headed out to California, March 17th to the 22nd. Gonna go see the Ducks in Anaheim. Gonna go see the Kings in LA. And guess who's coming with us? Number 10 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, John LeClaire, one of the great goal scorers in Flyers history, is coming on this trip. There's going to be a meet and greet. There's going to be a watch party for the San Jose game that week. We're going to have a great time. There's plenty of downtime. 5 nights in California to catch the 2 SoCal games. Going to be awesome. Go to allphly.com right now. Reserve your trip. Put down a deposit. Pay in installments. I know it's a long way away, but these are not going to last. You want to get that holiday shopping done for the Flyers fan in your life. You really just can't wait to go boo Cutter Gauthier. Maybe, hey, you're just a Disney adult and you want to catch some hockey as well. Well, we are heading out there. I checked it last night. It's less than an hour from Disneyland to the hotel. So come on out. It's going to be a great time. And
are you going, Bill?
Yes, it is. Charlie and I and Kelly will be heading out on this trip.
Speedo
with Philly Sports Trips. Oh, maybe. You know, if I hit my goals by then, perhaps we'll go banana hammock, Petey. We also have a schedule change to tell you about. Tuesday, September 2nd, the regular season schedule begins. The fun of the noon show is over. 4:00 for non-game days, starting the day after Labor Day. It's all great things must come to an end. So too must our summer schedule, because the Flyers have practice and Charlie has to be there and do his job.
It's all about Charlie again. Yeah, all about Charlie.
Yeah, you're right. You know, we may have some other things coming up that I'm gonna maybe start previewing for you next week. That's gonna fill this time here at around 12 or 1 on PHLY. But we have hockey to talk about, Petey. I just love having you on because I just want to BS with you about different stories and stuff. I'm glad you were able to join us. Of course, not only are you the host of Inside the Coach's Room on YouTube and the podcast, longtime NHL video coach, over 2 decades in the NHL with the Arizona/Phoenix franchise, and PHNX contributor as well. Now you're here with us, contributing to the rest of ALLCITY, and I got to say we really appreciate it. This time of year, I always feel like I still, I'm almost 37 years old, and I see a back-to-school commercial in the middle of a Phillies game, and I'm like, no, summer's, and I'm like, you're not going back to school. Everything's fine. I get, still that existential dread. You haven't been a coach in the league for a few years, but this time of year, are you starting to get the itch, or is it, works, here we go, the grind's coming, and you have to remind yourself, it's fine.
Bill, I tell you what, I think it's like for anybody. It's like those kids going back to school. You're right. It's miserable. It's the first thing that happens in July is when the schedule comes out. Everybody grabs the schedule and goes, okay, where is Thanksgiving fall? Where are we on December 23rd? And by the way, they always stuck Arizona out in Buffalo on the get back game to Christmas. So you want to see, when you're in Nashville for a couple of nights. Just saying, if you've been to Nashville, you know why. but that was the first thing where you kind of get excited and you say, hey, am I home for my kid's birthday? All of those things. But when you get to this point, you're like, dude, we got to start over at game 1. And anybody that's been around the league, including the fans, all you want is the playoffs. Like you want the playoff run. You want to get to February. Is my team in it? Are they not in it? Are we looking at a draft pick? That's it. You don't want to get to October. Like at game 1, you go, oh my God, and we got 5 preseason games, and you're like, oh no, like we're going to Waterloo, Iowa to play the St. Louis Blues. Like, no, and no offense to Waterloo, Iowa, I'm just saying you don't have the facilities, you're not used to it. But this time of year is horrific, and I know players are excited because they're getting in shape and getting back to it. But for a staff, it is just like thinking of game 1. And you go, oh my gosh, we have to do 82 of these before we even find out if we're close to the playoffs. It's a really, really, it's a hard time because you're transitioning from nothing. Most employees are, I mean, we're doing some video work now a little bit, but we're not really working. And then you're going from 0 to 100. I tell you what, Bill, this time of year, you start going, okay, anywhere else I got to go? Any other vacations I got to get in? Do I got to do anything else around the house? Fit everything in that you possibly can.
Yeah, as we were just in terms of prepping for the season on our end, like we just had a meeting before the show, and it was, all right, well, the Flyers Rangers rookie games are I think the 12th and 13th. So, all right, rookie camp will probably be that week leading up to it. And then so main camp probably opens the 14th or 15th, and it's all right, we know now. Like, okay,
yeah,
this is it. This is the home stretch getting to there. And then of course the season's but like that game 1, that's what always impresses me so much. Like both teams, like getting a Stanley Cup rematch between Florida and Edmonton. It's like, I can't imagine. Like, it just seems like such a grind. You can see why it's so hard to repeat. Just that idea of we were just playing hockey at the highest level for the most prestigious prize. And now it's all right. Game 1, 7 o'clock.
I don't know how they do it. How do they do it?
7 o'clock. It's like, it just seems like such a grind. And listen, they're playing a sport. It's everyone's dream job, but it's also a job. And you know what the end goal is, and you just have to wait to get there. It seems like such a freaking grind, but
it's awful.
It is
funny.
Can
you imagine that though, Bill? Like right now, you talk about the Florida and the Edmonton too. Florida's been in the Stanley Cup Finals 3 straight seasons. Nobody's played more hockey than the Florida Panthers. How the hell do you go? Okay, how do we get up for and play Florida Panther hockey on game 1? I don't. First of all, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
They just have to play good enough to get to playoffs, and then you know what? We can get in 16th. We can be the second wild card. Doesn't matter, and then we'll flip a switch and then we'll go play.
Yeah, that's the craziest part. Is then it becomes basically a whole other season. It's really the preseason is fake entirely.
Preseason, Bill. Do you go to the rookie? Do you go to the rookie stuff?
I like to go to the rookie game. It's up in Allentown at the Phantoms rink. Like last year was especially fun because it was the first time we got to look at Michkov and things like that. But guys like Jet Luchenko and Jack Nesbitt, like that's fun. It's not quite the same this year. Like Michkov, not a rookie. They've got a lot of college guys. Like, yeah, all right, you're not going to be seeing Porter Martone. He's already in school, man,
Yeah.
But I do like to go to that. It's just kind of a cool gathering, go up to a rink I never really get up to go to. But the preseason, it just seems so freaking long. Like, that's I know it's only like 5-7 games. It's too long. There's too many that for an 82 game, soon to be 84 game season. It's like, what?
Why do they do it? They can't do that. By the way, when I started, Bill, we were doing 10 or 12 preseason games back in the late 90s. Like 10 or 12.
That's insane.
There would be 2 weeks of practice prior to the first game. Now you're playing your first preseason game on day 3. And really by day 3, you've done nothing. Like there's no prep you've done. You've barely touched the surface on your systems, but you're playing. The expectations are for these rookies and veterans coming into camp, you better be in shape. Like day 1, it used to be I'm drinking until the day before camp, and I'm eating burgers and I'm pizza, and I'm coming in overweight and out of shape. And you use that first 2 weeks to get in shape, and you can't do that anymore. The game's changed, Bill. Game's changed.
No, there does seem to, and you see that throughout sports. Like watching what Eagles training camp has become versus what it was just like I realized when I was a kid, it was 20 years ago. Like they're going up to Lehigh University. They're beating the crap out of each other in the blazing heat. And now it's, oh yeah, they wrap practice at like 11:45 today. It's hot. They're fine. They're in shape. Everything's going to be okay. There's no need to be cracking skulls when we're going to be doing that all season long against the opponent. Like it's everyone's in shape already. You're good to go.
Things have changed.
I've been wanting to get some stories of certain guys out of you, like for 3 or 4 shows that we've done, and we always just go so long, Petey, that I never get to my end questions. So we're starting with them today because one of the most ridiculous players in Flyers, at least recent history, I guess, Jeremy Roenick. He was on the Coyotes for a while, and I actually looked it up. There were 77 skaters and 9 goalies that played for both the Flyers and Coyotes during the Yotes' existence. It really feels like there was a ton of business done between the teams. Not like, yeah, Roenick is a free agent signing. It's not like there's a trade or anything there. But was that ever anything, like, anybody in the organization noticed? Like, hey, we do a lot of business with the Flyers. I counted 17 trades between the teams during your time there. And that's not even... we lament all the time the Shane Gostisbehere trade, where it was something for nothing, something for nothing, literally. And that's after you're part of that org. Like, was that ever something that was talked about?
It's funny because you see that with all organizations, and you see that relationship from general manager to general manager, that once either you know each other before, you played together, you played against each other, you have some kind of a relationship outside of your general manager jobs, and it just makes it easier to communicate. Or you make that one deal and you go, okay, I know what this guy, how he deals, how he negotiates. I'm going to be able to go back to him again. And you look at the relationship when Bobby Clarke was in Philadelphia. Mike Barnett was the general manager of the Phoenix/Arizona Coyotes, and he was Wayne Gretzky's agent. Well, Wayne Gretzky and Bobby Clarke have a relationship. They know each other. So Mike Barnett was easily able to go to Bobby Clarke and make deals. However, I will say this. With the deals that Mike Barnett made, and I'm sure he's listening in today to PHLY, the worst Flyer Coyote trade, well, maybe not the worst because there's a few of them in there, but one of them was Mike Comrie, who was very good friends with Mike Barnett. His dad was very good friends with Mike Barnett. He owned the Brick, all these furniture stores in Canada, very close connections with Wayne Gretzky through Edmonton, and Mike Barnett needed to get Mike, his son, to Arizona. And do you remember that trade? The Mike Comrie trade? It was three for one, including our starting goalie, Sean Burke, Ben Eager,
yes.
Ben Eager, and one of my favorite unknown Coyotes of all time was Branko Radivojevic, who I really was a Branko Radivojevic. So it was a 3-for-1 deal. And I told this at the time that I wouldn't have traded any of those guys straight up for Mike Comrie. Mike Comrie, great guy. Really liked Mike Comrie. But that was back in an era where smaller statured players had a more difficult time. The game was tougher. The game was harder to get around the blue paint. So I always thought that relationship between those two, between Barnett and Clarke, featured and ended up fostering that. But Holmgren and Maloney, same thing, played against each other for years, and you find that thing. And then when John Chaika became manager, it was Chicago. And you just, every deal we were going to make was with the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah. So I think that goes on everywhere in the league where you find that guy that you're just comfortable making deals with.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit later about the Mason McTavish rumors, and we'll talk about. But I was like, at a certain point, yeah, I want him. How many deals can the Flyers and Ducks make, though? Like, at what point is it like these two general managers are going to just want to deal with somebody else? But
yeah, it's funny though. That's the same thing.
There's a comfort, yeah.
There's a comfort level between the general managers there, and by the way, we'll get into McTavish later, but yeah, get him. We'll get them in the black and orange. Now.
Yeah, I would be a big fan of that.
Yeah, me too.
We did a poll yesterday. We're going to share the results in a little bit, but I do need some sort. If you don't have Roenick stories,
I do.
Okay,
we go to Roenick.
There is a number of guys, and some of them really, really great names, like Keith Yandel. Disastrous year in Philadelphia, but he was phenomenal for much of his career. Biz, obviously, I think the most powerful guy in hockey media now at this point, basically. But hit me with something about Roenick, because everyone's like love-hate Flyer guy. He was just so fun and ridiculous.
The one thing about Jeremy Roenick, and I don't know if it's forgotten in this style of hockey that we play now, that you don't have. We talked about the clutching and the grabbing and all of that type of play. Jeremy Roenick was unbelievably talented hockey player. I mean, clearly he's in the Hall of Fame. Like, he was an unbelievable goal scorer and flashy and dynamic and had all the hands. But in that era, you needed to be more than that. You needed to be able to play in the corners and you be able to push back. And JR had that. He had that ability to play both sides of the puck. Now, luckily in Arizona, Rick Tocchet was there and Tkachuk was there, and that was a pretty tough team. Like, that was a tough team to play against. So JR didn't have those things. And I remember there's two things. You've seen it in Philadelphia, and you saw it along the way where he'd dance out in LA on the ice, and he had that flamboyant, just that personality that just captured you. You wanted him to be the face of your franchise because he was that guy. But his mouth got him in trouble. And he would say things either on the ice or in the locker room that caused some trouble. And back in the late 90s, and one of my first years there, Jim Schoenfeld was the coach, and Jim Schoenfeld, former Buffalo Sabre, incredibly tough man, continued to work out well into his coaching career, huge, tough NHL fighter. And Jeremy said something coming off the bench in America West Arena that struck Jim Schoenfeld the wrong way. And it got as they got into the locker room and everybody started to, just sit down, get their drinks between periods. Schoenfeld went at JR. And he said, pretty tough, huh, guy, but you got a lot to say. And I just the room just kind of quieted, like just you could hear a pin drop and everything just got silent. And JR, honestly, one of the few times you see him doesn't know how to react. He doesn't know what to say. and so Schoenfeld, let's go. Let's get it out right now. Tough guy. You think you're tough? Let's go. Let's use tough. And he starts to go. He takes his suspenders off because Schoenfeld always wore suspenders. He took the suspenders off and he went into to JR's stall, and everybody thought there was going to be a fist fight in the locker room because Schoenfeld wasn't kidding. He was mad, and luckily there were players there to diffuse the situation. There was not a fight in the Arizona Coyote locker room, but it just showed again that Roenick's ability to walk that line between, hey, I'm a smart ass and I'm a little bit cocky here, to, hey, you still got to play the game. And when I went to my very first playoff series, we were in Detroit. And I was in my 20s. I don't know anything from anything. I'm terrified of these players. They scare the hell out of me. Like they all do. They're intimidating. And this is back when people were tough and they played jokes on each other. And I wish I had ability to make this sound here. Can you hear that?
Yes.
If you went to this is a team meal in Detroit with a really nice Italian restaurant. And I'm just glad to be there. And all of a sudden you hear the tinking of the glasses. Have you ever heard this, Bill? Do you know what that means in the National Hockey League?
I do not know what that means.
Next time you get a player on and somebody starts tinking their glass at the meal, everybody starts screaming, shoe check. She goes, shoe check. And so the tinking of the glass means that someone got shoe checked. And what that means is everybody, when the glasses tink, everybody starts laughing. You got to look down at your shoes at the banquet table. Because what happens is one of the players army crawls along the room and takes butter, whipped cream, sour cream, whatever they can get their hands on that's soft, and just smear the heck out of somebody's dress shoes. And so in this particular instance, we were in Detroit, really nice Italian restaurant, and I see JR crawling army style on the floor in a suit, crawling underneath tables, trying to get from one table to the next so he can get underneath the table and start getting the rookie's shoes covered with butter, or I don't remember what it was that time. And all of a sudden he sneaks back to his chair and it's just the ting, 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 ting. And you go, that was my first realization that, oh my God, these are just kids.
These are children.
They're children. This is like going to a pee-wee hockey tournament and seeing the kids run around wild. And at that moment, you go, this is one of the best players in the National Hockey League at the time. And you go, what in the hell is going on here? And he had that. It was never malicious. The JR, he was never mean to people, but he had that spirit, and that sometimes you didn't know if you wanted to knock him out because he could be a jerk because he was so positive and flamboyant. But I will say this, JR, to this day, if I see him, he stops. He asks about my son. He's an unbelievable person, human being, and so lucky that he had the opportunity to play here in Arizona.
It is. It's funny to think about Roenick because he seems to be like kind of almost two different types of player. Like, oh, he's flashy and he's skilled and he's cocky and, he's trash talking and he's always got something to say to the media. And also, if you watch his highlight reel, dude is a power forward. Like, he's going into the corner. He was actually very tough as well. And I guess especially at that time, like, if you were going to play the way he did, you did have to back it up a little bit, or at least be able to defend yourself because someone was going to want to knock you out. I always found him entertaining. I wish the Flyers had gotten him, like so many in that era, a few years earlier. Would have been nice, but
the Coyotes had him at the right time. The Coyotes did have him at the right time. Well, maybe a little bit left out of the Chicago years, but I tell you what, that's what made that team work. Is and I know it's not a Coyote show, but Keith Tkachuk and Jeremy Roenick could not be more different on the ice or off the ice. The PR department had to twist arms to get Tkachuk to do interviews. Hated him. Hated to talk to people. Hated to go to charity events. He hated him. What a wonderful human being. Great player, but he just, that wasn't his thing. And JR was like, yeah, I'll do an interview. I'll go there. I'll do that. And it was just a strange dichotomy that those were your two best players and they couldn't be more different. And I think both of them kind of had a love-hate for each other because I think Keith Tkachuk's going 50 goals a year and Roenick wanted to be that and wanted to have those accolades, but he didn't play like Tkachuk, and Tkachuk kind of wanted to have some of those personality traits that Roenick had. It was an unbelievable tandem, and they deserved better. Well, they were in Arizona.
It's funny to think that you couldn't force Keith to do an interview, and now his sons are the face of the league.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Like,
it's unbelievable.
They're the guys. They are the stars of the league. As the two brothers trying to maybe do the little Kelsey thing, a little bit of the Watt family thing, and it's worked. I mean, the league's in a good spot, and they're right up front now. The whole family's on the cover of the video game.
Unbelievable.
I was cruising through your Elite Prospects staff page, Petey, and I realized you were on the Team North America staff at the World Cup, and I think maybe that Team North America Sweden game is my favorite hockey game I've ever watched.
Yeah, me too.
That I really enjoyed that tournament, and Team North America is like what made it really fun. It's a 23 and under team just because, we have a Team Europe. It was kind of a thrown together thing, but I just really enjoyed that. How fun was coaching that 23 and under team in, what was it, 2016?
Yeah, 2016. I will say this, and I will fight people that disagree. Actually, I won't fight because I'm not very tough. But that's the best hockey team ever assembled. People can go back to the Team Hockey Canada in '76. They can go back to the World Cup team of the Americans with Richter in net. This team, when you look at that roster today, and you go back and
the roster today is amazing.
Oh, McKinnon, Matthews hadn't played an NHL game yet.
Yeah.
McDavid. The goalies were Gibson, Hellebuck, and Murray. And Murray, unfortunately, his career slid a little bit. But you look at that goaltending. This team was, how many guys are captains in the National Hockey? Sean Couturier was on that team from the Philadelphia Flyers. Eichel and Larkin and Goudreau and McKinnon, Matthews, McDavid, Miller. Like, this team was unbelievable. And the one thing that going into the tournament, I had to do an interview with Jay Woodcroft, who was the assistant coach at Edmonton at the time, to get that gig because he was on the coaching staff with Todd McClellan. And I wanted to do this tournament so bad. I knew it was the best of the best. And Team North America was almost a joke. It was almost like, oh, these guys are like, seriously, Austin Matthews, he was going into that tournament. He was our 13th forward. Yeah, because he'd never played. He was 18.
Yeah.
And this team, you get to the first event. I remember flying out. We flew out. Our home base was Montreal, by the way, spending 2 weeks in Montreal with a bunch of 18 to 23-year-old hockey players. Wasn't a bad time, by the way. But you get there to that first meal. We had the first team meal on that first night. And you go, oh my God, these guys have no chance. Like, they got to play Crosby. There's no chance. The Russians were there back then. Like, this team, no chance. Like, this team, we're going to get rolled at this tournament. And then you go to the first practice, and it is a bunch of kids that were incredibly high skilled that just have nothing to lose. And it was going to practice. You should have sold tickets to their practices. It was phenomenal. The pace, the speed, the skill. They did every drill right. Everything's like, oh my God, these guys are unbelievable. It was the most fun I've ever had in the game of hockey. I'm so blessed that I got to be around those guys. They had fun. Their drinking age in Canada is a little different than in the States. So they maybe imbibed a little bit and kind of went overboard a few times in Montreal. But when it came to play, and I agree with you, the best 5 minutes of hockey I have ever seen, and I bar none, Stanley Cup Finals, anything, go on YouTube and watch Team North America play Team Sweden in 2016. That first 5 minutes, it was stunning. to see how good Matthews, McDavid, McKinnon, Johnny Hockey, how good that crew was. It was unbelievable. And I still think it was a shame the way that tournament unfolded. The Russians scored 3 goals in a couple of minutes to eliminate Team North America from the playoff round. And if not for that, if they even could have garnered a tie Saturday night in Toronto, would have been Crosby versus McDavid. It would have been absolutely amazing. It's too bad that fell apart for that team just in a 2-minute span.
And I remember when they win the game in the overtime, and they all celebrate the Sweden game, and they think they've done it, and then oh no, we needed to win in regulation, I think, to advance, and it came down to
like Finland played Russia later that night, and it was a tiebreaker, and Finland had no chance. And you're right, and people I've always been asked, didn't you guys know, because they celebrated so heartily after that Sweden win, didn't they know that they needed to win in regulation? Why didn't you pull the goalie? Dude, they knew. Like, it was on the board, it was on the whiteboard what we need to do to today. But I think it's just that exuberance of those young kids. Hey, we just won a hockey game. You know, it wasn't, we're in the tournament. We won.
It was an incredible game. Like, it was also like, you won an awesome game.
And McKinnon gets the game-winning goal in overtime on a play that, again, if you haven't seen it, you have to go watch it, because that overtime was breakaway after breakaway both ways. It was, again, every once in a while I put that game back on and I watch some of the highlights from that game. And that's the way hockey should be played. Best on best. You get the best from people all around the world.
Did Petey free? Maybe I froze. I'm not sure which one of us is frozen right now. All right. Yeah, it does. It appears to be me, or it appears to be Petey. So while we get him reconnected, let's take our first commercial break. I got to tell you about one of our newest sponsors here at PHLY. They're, sponsoring our studio, the Xfinity mobile call-in line, which Petey will be rejoining us on very soon. Our friends at Xfinity. It is the most reliable Wi-Fi with the best-in-class equipment. The Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming. My connection with since I upgraded my Xfinity Wi-Fi here at my home studio has been impeccable. It is certainly booming, to say the least. You can do more of what you love and do it fast with Xfinity Internet. Xfinity combines the power of internet and mobile. Xfinity now in that mobile game as well. So you've got lightning fast speeds at home and on the go. And with Xfinity Internet and mobile together, the Wi-Fi is booming wherever you go. You can supercharge your phone with Wi-Fi Power Boost for the ultimate connection. And with Xfinity Internet Mobile, you can do more of what you love wherever you are. It's internet and mobile together, stronger together. Xfinity combines the power of both the internet and mobile for an amazing experience. It is the most reliable Wi-Fi claim based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Make sure you check out Xfinity.com for more information. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Actual speeds vary. Make sure you check out Xfinity.com. And while we're here, I have to tell you about TrueMark Financial Credit Union. It is August. It is, as we said at the top of the show, winding down this summer and believe it or not, back to school season, it's basically here. And even though I don't have kids heading back to class, it's still a great time to take advantage of seasonal deals on things like office supplies, new clothes, your tech upgrades, everything you're going to need for the upcoming year. And this year, I'm planning ahead, and I'm going to use my TrueMark Financial Credit Union debit card that earns rewards. Every time I swipe my card and choose credit on purchases, whether it's a new planner, headphones, or just some everyday essentials, I'm earning points, and those points, I can redeem them for cash, gift cards, travel, merch, and so much more. I've already got my eye on a gift card that'll come in handy for some fall shopping. Maybe put it towards a little bit of that holiday shopping as well. It's a simple way to get rewarded for buying the things I already need. And if you're already a TrueMark Financial Credit Union member, be sure to check out your debit card benefits before you hit the stores or start shopping online. If you're not a member yet, well, now's a great time to join. Just stop by one of TrueMark Financial's 24 branches or visit TrueMark.com to open an account. TrueMark Financial Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA. All right. Petey will be with us shortly. He is having a little bit of a browser issue. I love that Team North America from that 2016 World Cup of Hockey. And I wanted to ask him a little bit more about best on best and some of the some other things that went on in or around his time with the Arizona/Phoenix franchise. But while we're waiting for Petey to reconnect, let's hit the big deal presented by Kia of Cherry Hill. And I want to hit some poll results from yesterday. We discussed the possibility of the Flyers trading for Mason McTavish because Mason McTavish remains unsigned by the Anaheim Ducks. And I gotta say, it wouldn't be too terrible to see this team go out and try to make another move with the Ducks. And most people agree. Yeah, we have it at 63.2 say yes on a McTavish trade, and under 37% say no. So more than a third of the people say no. And I think that has just a lot to do with, okay, what's it going to cost? And Charlie does make the argument. One of the reasons the Flyers have Trevor Zegras is they think they're pretty solid down the middle and maybe don't see him as a center. It's one of the reasons Zegras gets pushed over to wing is, okay, we have Carlson and we have Mason McTavish. Perhaps that's not the best combination to then, okay, we have Zegras. It is a reclamation project to be sure, but we want to give him a shot at center and then immediately bring in one of the guys who basically pushed him out to wing, and it ultimately was good enough that the Ducks felt, okay, we can ship Zegras out and we're actually not losing anything because of what we have down the middle. So that might be an odd dynamic. So I understand all that. Also, how many Ducks do you really want? It's not as if the Ducks are great. But like Kelly and I said yesterday, some teams just don't win because they're young. Like, young teams typically not all that good, no matter how much actual talent. As I was just talking about with Petey, like that Team North America at that World Cup, ton of skill, awesome, bunch of guys who became future stars, but up against the veterans of the league, like Team Canada, maybe it's not going to work out quite the way you wanted it, and that's kind of what I see with the Ducks. I'm not so much afraid of, oh, well, it's a bunch of players from a bad team. What are we doing? Tell that to everyone who's taken advantage of Buffalo and Calgary over the last couple of years. Yeah, those teams not great. And look at what happened when their players left. Those teams went on to have some real good success because they took advantage of poorly run organizations. I want the Flyers to be a team willing to take advantage of if the Ducks aren't going to be a well-run team, if Pat Verbeek is going to get into contentious negotiations, which I don't know if these are contentious or not, or if it's, hey, we'll get a deal done. I'll see you when you come to camp, whatever. I don't know what the relationship is, but I do know we saw this happen with Drysdale and Zegras a couple years ago, and neither is still on the team. So with Mason McTavish sitting out there, still unsigned, that he can't be happy about that. When you look at the Ducks cap situation, they have nearly $21 million right now. The cap is going up. Trouba and Gudas combine for $12 million, and their contracts expire after this season. This is a team that's going to have like $50 million. I know you want to be shrewd and manage your cap and win negotiations, but at a certain point, don't you just have to get your guys and have them signed, have everyone happy, and say, now go progress as players on the ice rather than worry about your next contract? I'm just a little shocked it's not done and that it's happening again with a franchise that saw it go sour with players after this happened just a couple of years ago with two players who are now Philadelphia Flyers. But I'm a little surprised more than a third of people said no, but yes, over 60%. That makes sense. I am absolutely in on Mason McTavish. Now, of course, it's price dependent, and we're going to have a mailbag question about that coming up today. So when Petey rejoins, I will ask what he wants, what he would be willing to give up for Mason McTavish. But I got to remind you to smash that like button. That's right. We want you to give us a little like spike right now. Why not? I'm vamping until my co-host returns, and I think you should appreciate me, quite honestly. I'm just messing with you. All right. You know what? Let's get to one of our first mailbag questions. And it comes from SWAT. It says, as of today's conversation, what price is too high for Mason McTavish? I've seen some word on the price starting with Luchenko in a first. I know the price should hurt some, but is that too much? I'd probably do it. Thoughts? I don't know. Like, okay, value-wise, Luchenko in a first probably seems around right. I just don't know how interested the Ducks are in a first-round pick when they are loaded with young guys. They have so many young guys, they're willing to move on from a Mason McTavish. And if you're bringing in Jet Luchenko, as of right now, I don't believe he's turned 19 yet, or let's give it a look. Jet Luchenko, 18. Oh, his birthday is tomorrow. So happy early birthday to Jet Luchenko. Yeah, he'll turn 19 years old tomorrow. So you're bringing in a guy who is essentially a draft pick himself. That's essentially just a first round pick. I would make that trade. I just wonder if the first round pick is something the Ducks would be looking for, or if they'd be looking for a little bit more established talent to kind of help shepherd along what is a very, very young roster full of, high skill, high draft pick guys. And in that case, the Flyers only have so many of those types of players who are movable. Like, would they be interested in an Owen Tippett when that's probably Cutter Gauthier? I wonder if there's a match for what the Ducks would be looking for. That's the only thing holding me back from make the deal, is I don't know exactly what the Ducks like. Luchenko in a first, yeah, value-wise seems right, but is that what they need? They have Carlson. They drafted Roger McQueen. They signed Mikael Granlund to like a 3 or 4 year deal. Where does it fit? Where does it all come together? I guess it would give Luchenko plenty of time to develop because you have guys in front of him. There's not a huge rush then to get him, into a top 6 role or whatever he can kind of do. What I want to see him do here in Philly and grow up into the lineup the way Sean Couturier did. That's what I'm kind of looking at with Luchenko. But yeah, if it's Luchenko in a first, I'm in. If it's Luchenko and a roster player, I'm definitely interested. I'm not married to anybody on this roster outside of Matvei Michkov, and obviously that wouldn't be the trade. But McTavish is young. He's a big 6'1", 220-pound center. Put up over 50 points last year, 20-goal guy. I don't really see a downside. Is he a 1C? Remains to be seen. But between him and then, let's say, Nesbitt, you still have Couturier, some guys you draft, bring in. I like what they would have, especially if Zegras works out down the middle. I could see that kind of group working with really good wingers, and if you're able to, get a defense in here, things of that nature, bulk up that defense, and of course the goaltending. It really, what's the goalie situation? Because that covers up for so many things. All right, what we're gonna do now, Bryn, is we are going to throw it to our next commercial break. I got it. I got to tell you about our friends at Cherry Hill Kia, because if you're looking for the dealership with the most inventory and super low lease payments in the Philadelphia area, Kia of Cherry Hill and KiaofCherryHill.com are the places to go. You can choose from over 450 new Kias, including Tellurides, Sportages, K5s, Carnivals, Seltos, Souls, and so much more. And I've got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country, and they are for a reason. It's because 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Drivers Editor's Choice Awards. That's pretty wild considering there were more than 450 models tested and only 20 models industry-wide received the award. 7 of the 20 were Kias. That's a pretty good rate. That is a pretty good rate. Combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000-mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. What else could you possibly want? So stop in today and tell them PHLY sent you. And what else could you want? How about a $100 restaurant.com gift card? You'll get it just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal when you tell them PHLY sent you. I know people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Kia today, just minutes from all bridges, are available online 24/7 at kiaofcherryhill.com. Now it's time to tell you about another new sponsor here, our friends at Cash App. Cash App does more than you think when it comes to having your back and making sure your money stays your money. There are so many money sharing, financial apps out there at this point. You never know which are the best, which one you should go with, which one you can trust. I'm telling you, Cash App, that is the one to trust. And they're more than just, send your friends a couple of bucks because he bought a round of beers. No, if you direct deposit at least $300 in paychecks each month and use the Cash App card for purchases, you can unlock up to $200 in free overdraft coverage. If you overdraft unexpectedly, there are no hidden fees. You can manage your money on your terms and take advantage of free overdraft coverage up to $200 on Cash App today. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash as well. For real, just download the Cash App, use our exclusive referral code CASH, PHLY, that's CASH, PHLY, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days. You got 2 weeks to do it, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit, roundups, overdraft coverage, and discounts provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. All right, let us get back to the mailbag, and let's go to Ethan Freeman. Interesting question here from our pal Ethan. He says, out of Gretzky, Lemieux, Lindros, Yzerman, and Waugh, whose game do you think would translate best to the current day NHL, and what teams would their style best complement? And who would you pick to add to the Flyers' current roster for highest positive immediate impact? My answer to this is always going to be Eric Lindros. Listen, yeah, Gretzky was great. He would have been great in any era. I do wonder if, his specific skill set, there's more guys, but also he's got more assists than anyone else has points ever. So, yeah. Lemieux, obviously a stud. Yzerman, Waugh, great. I wonder, how much goaltending does translate. Just, a player being exactly what they were skill and style-wise dropped into the new era. Would goaltending be the thing that translates the least? Patrick Waugh was awesome. I wonder. My answer to this is always going to be Lindros. One, the average size of the league is so much small. It's 6', 200 now. That's the average NHLer. It's not, every defenseman's 230 like it was back in the day. He would physically dominate in a way you couldn't, you just wouldn't be able to believe back then, because I feel like there's just a lot less humongous dudes. Also, the skill, there's way less open ice hits now. There's guys who are just, throwing flying forearms across the middle that, Lindros was susceptible to. That just doesn't exist really that much anymore. So the thing, his Achilles heel, maybe wouldn't be as much of a problem. There's also just a better understanding of concussions now. So it's, hey, he's had 2. Maybe let's not put him back in a week. Things like that. And stick technology. I always think of stick technology when I think of guys like Lindros, and I saw it actually in the AHL happen to Zdeno Chara when he was with the Kentucky Thoroughblades. I believe the order of events. This was almost 30 years ago. So, but I believe the order of events was Zdeno Chara put a bad hit on Phantoms fan favorite Bruce Coles in a corner. And then he's carrying the puck through the neutral zone, a la Eric Lindros, and John Druce comes blasting across the blue line and just knocks Chara out cold. And he was gigantic. Like we heard, oh yeah, Zdeno Chara, his stick has an exception because he's so tall. Like the standard stick rule, the standard stick rule doesn't apply to him. He has to have that exception. I always think of stick technology when it comes to those big guys. Like if Lindros had today's sticks, now maybe he would have just been too big and strong for them, and they'd have to come up with something else because they'd snap like twigs. But I think of putting, even the ones I had 20 years ago are garbage now compared to the sticks. But like put an Easton Synergy in that guy's hands, and he all of a sudden can puck handle with his head up, and it's a whole different world. And it looks as if we have been rejoined by Petey. What's going on? How you doing, Petey? How'd everything treating you over there?
Can you hear me, Bill?
I can.
Can you hear me? I tell you what, this is the truth. I don't have Xfinity internet. That's part of the problem. But someone in my neighborhood is getting cable and internet installed in their home today, and they're digging out on the street, and I no longer have internet. And I tell you this, so I'm back on the phone. Until you lose internet, dude, you don't really, like we have Alexa here that runs everything in the house. Like I can't turn the lights on. I can't get, the TVs aren't working now. Like my wife works from home. She's freaking out. So I apologize, but I'm back on the phone. So it might not be quite as good audio and video as it was before, but doing our best, muscle through.
It happens, Petey. That's the world we live in. Work from home. This is one of those things that happens. I'm always, because I live on like a main road, and they're always working on the power lines and everything. I'm like, one day the fiber optics is just going to get cut by some hungover, municipal worker, and that's that. I'm just not going to be able to work that day. But I want to get back to this question from Ethan Freeman. Out of Gretzky, Lemieux, Lindros, Yzerman, and Waugh, who do you think would translate best to the current day NHL?
It's interesting because I agree with you with the Lindros, and I have to put Lemieux in that same category for the same reasons. And the bigger body guy, he took so much abuse as a big bodied guy trying to get to the net, and he was still able to put up the numbers he put up. So I think those two probably more so. And you look at Gretzky's game, and you think, well, why wouldn't he translate? There's no hooking, clutching, grabbing. One amazing vision, best player to ever play. I'm not taking anything away from him, but the game today is all about speed and is about doing it at a fast pace. And one thing that Wayne could do is he could slow the game down, and he could make the game just almost look slow motion to make those beautiful plays. He would have to do that now at a higher pace, and he'd have to do that with his feet moving all the time. And I do think the bigger, stronger, more physical players without the restraints of the hooking, clutching, grabbing would be those guys that would really excel in this new style. And to your point, goaltending, dude, going from the way Patrick Roy played to the way these kids play today on their knees and sliding around and pushing posts, I don't know if he'd be able to survive. Like it's just a different game.
Like I'm just trying to, because it's always, Gretzky would, have in this world where he comes around now, like, okay, he has all the modern training and everything.
Sure.
But if I'm just like dropping that player into this era, and how would it go? Like, I think goaltending translates the least. Like you watch goaltending from even the early 2000s, you're like, what is going on out there? Why are they? What is he
shot
doing?
From the blue line? Oh, it's in. He beat them.
And that's like, these are good goalies, and it's like, what the hell is going on out there? What are these? But I always like stick technology alone for guys like Lemieux and Lindros. Like suddenly Lindros can look up. He can feel the puck. He doesn't need to look down because he's so tall. His stick's so long, he couldn't feel it and had to look down. And guys are just not as big. I feel like there's just maybe one or two 230-pound defensemen in the league, rather than entire blue lines being made up of dudes like that.
Yeah, and it's, you talk about the stick technology. It's the skate technology has improved the ability to skate. And then you go a step further than that. Then you go the nutrition and the training, and all of those things are better. And then you go to the ice, and the ice and the ability for them to have good ice everywhere. By like they're checking temperatures on the ice during a game to make sure it's holding up the way it needs to hold up. And you just didn't have that technologies back in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So everything involving the game has just gotten better. And I think those guys that that suffered the most in that era of the hooking, clutching, grabbing was players like Lindros and Lemieux, because you could get away with more doing that to Eric Lindros. You could, because referees go, he's a big, strong guy, he can handle it. You touch Gretzky like that, the arms are going up. You're getting a penalty. Against Lindros and Lemieux, no, they're big boys. They can handle themselves. So I do think those bigger players would have really benefited from the way the game is called now, and they both could skate. I mean, these are big guys that could skate, and they would be able to do so much more. Like, if you look at Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson is a big, strong hockey player that can put up numbers. He's not, and I love Tom Wilson. I'm not saying anything bad. He is not in the universe of Lemieux and Lindros. Like, not in the same realm or discussion of those two big, strong players that could play an offensive game. So you can imagine how they would have been perceived in today's game. It would have been absolutely amazing. And by the way, you could probably use him right about now. This season would be a good time to drop him into that lineup.
No, and that's, like you mentioned, Tom Wilson. He and Lindros both 6'4", Lindros 240. Like, Wilson comes in at 225. Like, guys just aren't 240 anymore.
No, they can play.
That's a linebacker. 240 is a linebacker now. Yeah. And you just drop him or Lemieux out there, and it's a different world. I think those two are probably the answer. I want to get a few more of these mailbag questions in. We have one here from Crud Muddler, which is just a hilarious name.
Good name.
What is the funniest or weirdest interaction you've had with a Flyer, past or present? I will open it up to any athlete for you, Petey, but I have to go. One, when I was a little kid, Sean Podine. I met him at like a Famous Footwear or something in my local mall. He was signing autographs. I was 6 or 7. I have no idea what Sean Podine looks like. I just walk up to the first guy in there I see and like hand him a little book or a headshot or something to sign. And the dude just laughs, puts his head down, and has to point like he's over there. I'm not the Philadelphia Flyer, and I was so freaking embarrassed. Podine and my dad had a good laugh about it.
It's funny.
It crushed me. I was so freaking embarrassed.
And how old are you?
I was probably 7, maybe 8, I'm going to guess.
So Sean Bodine's a Minnesota kid. I'm a Minnesota kid. We both played high school hockey against each other, and we went to a Minnesota State high school all-star team, and he was my roommate, Sean Podine. So he was an amazing guy. But my funny story, we'll go to Flyer guys. It's 2. One of them, Robert Esch. And I'd like to say that Ilya Bryzgalov, because he's just like, any interaction with Ilya Bryzgalov was weird. I don't care if you're the only guy in the room with him, or more so if there's a room full of people. He is the biggest idiot, but smartest guy I've ever been around.
Yeah, like an idiot savant.
Yes,
and actually maybe a genius, but once you think he's an idiot.
Reading philosophy books, like he was well read and but he just said the most bizarre stuff just to get a reaction, and he played dumb all the time. But Robert Esch, it's always the goalies. So Bryzgalov was nuts, but we had Robert Esch for a very long time, and I don't know if you know Robert. He was probably a little before your time there, but a really down to earth, jeans wearing, cowboy boots guy. Like, he's horses. He's an old country dude, and he was on the team when Sean Burke was there. And my office would always have the backup goaltender would sit in my office at America West Arena because there wasn't room on the bench. So I got to know the backup goalies pretty well. And the differences between Robert Esch and Sean Burke were vast. So when Robert Esch would sit back in the video room, it was right behind the bench. Like, we were 20 feet from the bench. But so you could sit and watch the game and stay into it. But as the season wore on, Burke's playing. Like, Burke was better at that time. So I had 7 video monitors, and Esch would go, "Can you please put a movie on? Like, can you put something else on? I don't want to watch this game." And then he would take his pads off. And I'm like, "Dude, like, you can't take your pads off." He goes, "I'm good." And then he goes, to get our security guy to get him a couple of hot dogs and a bucket of popcorn. And so he's sitting in the video room with his pads on the ground, eating a bucket of popcorn and he got ketchup on his white. That's back when white jerseys were at home. He got ketchup on his jersey. And now Burke gives up a bad goal. And he's like, "Dude, don't." So he starts getting ready. And he had to go into that game with ketchup stains on his jersey because Berkey got pulled. And so you go back to these goalies. Yeah, they're ready. They're dialed in. Hell no. They put that switch on a dime. So Robert Esch, one of the best people I've ever been around, and a guy that Philadelphia was lucky to have between the pipes.
I had to get Charlie's permission. So I can't tell this full story, but Charlie and I and another prominent member of the Flyers media are sitting at a really great dive bar in Old Montreal this past season. And suddenly we're facing the door so we can see everyone that comes in. Charlie goes, "Oh, hey, that's..." And then a group, we realize there's like 6 or 8 Flyers out together, walk into the same bar we are at. They see us, we see them. I'm like, yeah, they're just out having, it's a good time. They order a couple of pitchers, put them away, and immediately leave. It was just like, we're not drinking with you two. I was like, all right, that's understandable. I get it.
That should have been the joke. I thought there was a joke. 6 Flyers walk into a bar.
Yeah, 6 Flyers walk into a bar.
Yeah, that's the start of a joke.
And it was actually the guys who were there the night before the game played far better than the guys who weren't. I was keeping tabs.
Is that recent, Bill?
That was this past season, yeah.
Seriously, because I will say this about the NHL and the evolving player and the way the players approach the game differently now. Back in the early 2000s, and maybe, well, definitely before. Like, you go back to the era before, the Broad Street Bullies and that era, dude, they weren't drinking on game day, but they were drinking the day before, and they were drinking hard. And you know why they got away with it? Is because everybody on the other team was doing it too. It was a different era where guys it was such a blue collar sport back then that you could get away with those kind of things. And I think it really changed. It's strange. It changed after 9/11 when flights, you had to fly private charter. Then you no longer flew the commercial flights through commercial airports. You didn't stay overnight the night after a game. You flew out, and you used to stay over. And so you'd stay in the city, and you'd go with your buddies on the opposing team, and you'd go and have a good time. And you ran pretty hard, and you just make it to the bus or the plane in the morning, and you're fine. And that changed when charters took over, and you couldn't stay overnight, and you didn't drink like that anymore. And I'm not saying that people were overboard, but you could go out and have a beer, and you'd get, after practice, you'd practice over at 1 PM. You're 24. What do? You go out and have a beer with your teammates. Now you go get a protein shake. I got to go to a massage guy. I'm going to my nutritionist. And it's just, you just don't see those old time fun things anymore. There's too much money. It's too much competition. There's too much, the fun is gone. So seeing those guys, that's great when you get the opportunity to see guys out on the road enjoying themselves, because those teams that did that were the teams that were tighter, and they were better, and they were more successful because you had guys that were doing those things and getting an opportunity to get out.
Yeah, it's just funny seeing how the game has evolved. Like, I remember when John Tortorella was still in Columbus and ended their morning skates. And he was basically, the gist was, morning skate exists for the boys to sweat it out. So they're not hungover when the game comes. And the boys aren't like that anymore. As long as you're all responsible enough, we don't have to do these morning skates. And basically ended them during his time in Columbus. And it was like, yeah, they're just a little different. Times are different. Don't need to do it. All right, before we get to overtime, let's hit the Shady Rays future is bright question. And it comes from our pal, Andrew. He says, assuming the Flyers could add one with minimal current roster players being moved, would you rather add a legitimate 1C or a 1D if the roster construction favors strong wingers with complementary centers? Am I crazy for thinking a 1D is maybe more important? I will always be biased and prefer a defenseman. Like, if I had to choose, the number one center, the number one defenseman, my bias is to defense. Do you think it matters? Like, if you have a star at one of those spots, like, do you think one matters more than the other?
I do. And it's funny that I'm going to say this, because I don't think you can win championships without defense. I think the best teams in the league continually are teams that can defend and play from their goal out. But if you got a choice to get a real number one center, you take it all day long. Because you look through the teams right now that are the premier teams in the league, they have that player. And even Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers, he's a good player. but he's a nice defenseman, but you get a 1C like Connor McDavid, it changes your world. Sidney Crosby, you get those number one, like a legit Nathan McKinnon. Those guys change your franchise for years. And you look at the Philadelphia Flyers, and one of the problems they have right now, and they've had for years right now, is where is that number one center? And Sean Couturier is a nice player. I mean, he's not the same class as the guys we talked about. Austin Matthews, he's not in that class. And Christian Dvorak is a 3 on a lot of teams. So I think if I have an opportunity, if you go back and look at the Stanley Cup winners year after year after year, it's not just the guys that have a 1C, they got a 1 and a 1A, or a 1A and a 1B. So it's not just a 1-2. So I would always go with that first. You look at the Sabres with Dahlin and Powers and top defensemen, and they're not there.
All right, and as you can see, we are headed to overtime. We are now at the 1 hour mark. Brenna got it in just in time, so well done.
Sorry, Brenna.
Yeah, I guess it is when you can get that one guy. It comes down to ice time for me. Like, if you have Chris Pronger, 50% of a playoff game is now accounted for. Yeah. Like, he is playing 30, or if it goes to overtime, 40 or 50 minutes of this game, put it down. But that one guy down the middle is so important.
And when you look at Pronger and Niedermeyer on Anaheim at the time, they were out there. One or the other was out there literally the entire game. You got 2 defensemen playing 30 minutes, and that's what made that team so successful. Now, they were very good up front, and that was a talented hockey team. Yeah. You're right. If you can get that guy that can eat those minutes, and not just eat minutes, but be eating those minutes and be successful. Yeah, I do think that when you look around the league, like, who are those guys? Cale Makar, to me, is still the prototypical number one defenseman in the National Hockey League. You look at the Hughes boys, I think they're one-sided type players. But you look at the teams in the finals. Evan Bouchard was the best player for the Edmonton Oilers on the back end. But who is it in Philadelphia? Or excuse me, in Florida? Is it Ekblad? Is it Forsling? Like, I think they're good. But I don't think there's a guy that's going, oh, my God, he's the number one defenseman. And I think you look around the league, and Carolina had as deep 6 defensemen as any team in the league, and they can't make it to the finals. So I do think you're right. If you build a franchise with a number one center, but if you can be lucky enough to have both, now you're dangerous.
That's why no matter what, you will find Colorado. Yeah, they flamed out in the playoffs a few years, but I bet you they're one of the top 3 or 4 in Stanley Cup odds right now because they have those two things taken care of.
Exactly.
All right, I want to hit one more, and then we will get to whatever sort of super chats we have. This one is from Petey Allen, not Steve Peters. It's from Petey Allen. Would you consider this season more of a success if we get the number 1 pick or all the younger players progress at an accelerated rate? This is tough because the stated plan is for the team itself to get better because the players they have are progressing. And if that's what they're trying to do, I would like for them to succeed. But it's not as if Gavin McKenna wouldn't be a major win. Like, just wouldn't. All right, now we're good. Like, now things are definitely headed in the right direction because we have a legitimate, probably star. I want the younger players to progress, and I don't want to watch bad hockey for another year. So I'm going to go with that one. But that is a tough call. Yeah, that is upsettingly tough.
I agree with you too. But you look at Gavin McKenna, we talked about centers, and the other guy's a left wing. And you go, okay, he helps. We still need help up the middle of the ice. And the other thing, remember when we were doing this, and in Arizona we did this a lot, and it was be wrong for right. And it was all about Shane Wright. And it was until weeks before the draft. And you go, but is it? Is it Shane Wright now? And so McKenna might be the guy now, but is he there then? The reality is, I know they're saying he's going to be a great player, and he probably is going to be a great player. For the Philadelphia Flyers right now, where they are with Danny Briere and Rick Tocchet, I think this team needs to improve. I think this team has to show a step forward, and I think you need to see players like Matt Bay, Michkov, and even Trevor Zegras, he's a young player. I think you need to see those guys take a step forward. I think you need to see them playing competitive, important games. I think at the back end, you've got so many young players that you need to get those guys playing games that matter and not losing night after night after night after night, because I think losing breeds losing. So I think it's important for the Flyers to what they're trying to accomplish in the years to come when they want to be a perennial playoff team again. I think it's important for these younger guys to take a step forward. So for me, that's what I'd like to see happen this season.
Yeah, and I know, like, I'm being selfish. I don't want to watch another team that loses every night. It's just, it's the last game of the season. My co-host Kelly and I are in the studio cheering as hard as we have in years, and it is for a regulation loss. I really don't want to be there again.
No.
And speaking of players progressing, I have a little something to tease for you coming out at around 5 p.m. today, an interview with our AHL and prospect correspondent, Maddie Campbell, joined me yesterday. We're going to publish that to talk about the Broad Street Hockey's top 25 under 25 list, and an article she wrote for allphly.com breaking down the Flyers' new coach, the Phantom's new coach, and how his system may help some players progress. So make sure you check out the YouTube again at around 5 o'clock when that goes live. And Petey, that is it for the show. We just got to get to our super chats, and I'm fairly certain we only have one, and it is from our pal JH, who counts us down to Connor McDavid's free agency every day. And today we are 315 days away from July 1st, 2026, when Connor McDavid becomes a free agent.
That's it. We're all on the train here at PHLY. We are on. I think the jersey. I've rumors they're stitching up a '97 jersey as we speak in the Philadelphia equipment room right now. Never say never, man. Never say never.
You never know how much tampering went on. We'll never know on that flight from the Four Nations back to Philly for the Edmonton game in Philadelphia that weekend coming out of the break last season. So maybe they convinced him. I am hoping. JH, I love that you're keeping the hope alive, and I am allowing myself.
He's a Pennsylvania guy now, right? He's Erie Otters, Pennsylvania. Like, he's got the connection. Let's get him there.
Absolutely.
Talk about
all right, was that the only super chat, Bryn? Yes. All right. Well, that's it. So that means that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today, presented by Bet365. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. All you got to do, hit follow, hit that like button, and set that reminder bell so you never miss us when we go live. I know I've told you September 2nd we moved to 4 p.m., but you're not going to remember. I would never remember that, but set that reminder bell. You'll get notifications. You don't have to remember. The technology does it for you. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials. We are at PHLY_Flyers on Twitter. Follow the podcast as well, and make sure you're following Inside the Coach's Room with Petey. Very informative for new and diehard hockey fans alike. Player breakdowns, style of play breakdowns. It's really great stuff, whether you are an expert or just someone looking to learn a little bit more about this ridiculously awesome game of hockey. All right, that is it. We are coming to you live from the Xfinity Mobile Studios, and Petey was nice enough to join us on that Xfinity Mobile call-in line. That's it. My name is Bill Matz. Nope, there we go. That is Steve Peters. Till tomorrow, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the mail.